We're in level 3. We're developing compassion. It's all about letting go of any attachments to outcome, releasing the past. We're not quite in the place of understanding what it's all for, but we do want to practice seeing things differently. So number 3, compassion. But how do you be compassionate when your kid just says, I hope you're figuring out the end of life because don't expect anything from me. It's very difficult to show up for these kids with compassion. And sometimes just in general, other people, it's difficult to show up with compassion when you feel like life just kept beating you up, and handing you a bad deck of cards every single time. It's very difficult. What's always going on, always, 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 the universe just walked me through this process. Thank you very much. What is always going on is something in them that you can't see. They are in level 1. They are deeply wounded. Their victim is pushing back, is fighting back, is angry, hateful. So the victim, the part that feels so unjust in life, is the part that you're getting met with. Now, it can look like anger, hate, pushing back, but it can also, remember, we're talking about level 2, it can also look like the grandiosity of the ego. Oh, I'm fine. I don't need, oh, my life is great. Yeah, everything is just really fantastic. When I die, everybody's going to hike up Mount Everest to watch my ashes get spread across kingdom come. That is where these kids are. They're either level 1 or level 2. And so when we're scratching our heads and just baffled, disappointed, hurt, sad, missing them, then that's when we're falling into, as level 3, saying, okay, there's something that I'm not seeing and that I'm missing. I'm really upset. That really pushed my button. This person really did it to me. There's something I'm not seeing and I'm missing. I don't know the truth about this person or this situation. The message here is compassion. Okay, so today that's what we're really trying to get to is, if level 3 is all about compassion, how do we do it when everybody's being a butt, basically. Melancholy, if you remember or not, falls in level 1 along with mourning. When we're feeling sad, we're mourning, okay, grieving. We understand that. They're physically not in our lives and we're missing them. So yeah, we totally get that. And then melancholy, okay, is falling right down here. Discouraged, hopeless, apathetic, when we're detached. So we're just kind of checking out at this stage. But I remembered mourning and melancholy being just a huge thing. And Freud wrote a paper, Mourning and Melancholia, years ago that I remember I dove into, really understand like what the collective is going through and why everybody is so crazy and potentially hurting. So mourning is conscious, right? They're gone. I'm sad. I saw a photo. So that's a conscious thought. And we're aware of why we're sad because they're gone and life is not the way it used to be. Melancholy, however, is unconscious. It's an inward struggle with a loss that's marked by self-criticism and prolonged emotional suffering. Okay, so this type of grief gets absorbed into the self. Okay, that lower self, self-doubt, gets absorbed, right? Because we're talking about level 1. Leading to deep self-reproach. Okay, what's self-reproach? That self-condemnation. Significantly affecting somebody's self-esteem and their mental well-being. Because melancholia is more persistent and it's pathological. All the feelings associated with it turn inward and often are associated with depression. Okay, so sadness, grief, they're gone. I'm missing them. Depression is what? That current, right? That current that just plays in the background. And then you're just like, gosh, what is this feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Okay, and so that is the level of where melancholy falls, detached. But now when we go into that self-recrimination, we're pushing ourselves even farther down the chart. Okay, now we're in blame, self-criticism, should have done it differently. And now ultimately what? Pushed all the way back to shame. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I didn't do it right. And now that's that unconscious thought process that's playing in the background. And remember, it's pathological. Now, what happened during COVID? The world lost our lives as we know it. Things were so different after COVID. The world was just a different place. Because why? We lost our freedom. We were shut in. We lost people. Everybody started getting divorced, and kids started pulling away. We all just started really bumping into each other and driving each other crazy. And through that process, what happened? We're seeing so much mental illness that was just born after that. And I remember talking to Dr. Ruth about this because she works, for a state hospital. And she said, yeah, after COVID, the floodgates opened. And so many people want these free rooms in mental health care because they're just not stable. But of course, their system's so inundated, there's not enough money, there's not enough beds, there's not enough help to even help the number of people who are trying to get into the system for help and support. So back to compassion. Anytime somebody's coming at us, whether it be fighting, hate, the anger, or the grandiosity of the ego, that is just that mask for something truly deeper that's going on underneath the surface. And so our challenge to be in level 3 is to always know 100%, no question, that that's what's going on. It's normal until you start to practice this. It takes so much willingness, right? To set aside, well, I didn't get my needs met either, so why do I have to be the one that does all this work and gives it to everybody else? I mean, that's the dialogue, but that's the victim consciousness, right? That kind of just wants to say, well, yeah, but me too, but I didn't either. Well, and that's taking the bullet. But just keep an eye on it, because again, not to like really beat ourselves up or remember, okay, so I'm sad. I know I'm sad. So I'm feeling, nostalgic right now. I'm feeling uh, the mourning of it, just missing them. And so now when you go into that depressed feeling, or you're just detached from somewhere, like I don't care, there's a very big difference, because we're talking about this right now. That midway section is letting go. This is saying, I don't care. That's a big difference. So as we're going through level 3, we just kind of want to watch ourselves figuring out the difference between letting everything go, not being attached to an outcome, versus being so detached that we don't feel anything. Okay, blank stares, self-abdicating. Okay, and now this is what it's talking about. I deserve the right. And then what you just said was, okay, if we don't catch ourselves here, then we're automatically going backwards into deeper levels, harder levels of consciousness to come back from. Level 3 is going to feel so compassionate. Level 1 is always going to feel detached. And okay, radical acceptance. I've accepted it, I've moved on. That's all we hear, right? But if there isn't compassion behind it, then there's no real forgiveness happening, And it really is level one. And that's the important of doing this work and just removing those layers, because we want to remove still as many of the, and also remember level 3 is about going into humility from humiliation. Once we learn that humiliation event, now it sets us up to really understand what that is and how it feels, ideally, so that we don't do it to somebody else. But life keeps knocking us down again and again and again, especially when we're in level 2 and we're so identified with the ego, which our kids are right now. If they've got this mask and this front of the anger, the hate, the I'm better than you, I've got more money, I've got more success, and you're kind of seeing that wall, it's always a mask. So even though it just, man, what a jerk this person is, it's hiding something else. And so in level 3, you just want to say, okay, there's something here that I'm not seeing about this person. And so hard, I think, for people to get out of it, because we don't understand it. One, we don't understand it's even pathological. We're not understanding that. It's okay. We're all talking about mental illness right now, but we just think that means, you've stepped over my boundaries. We're calling it so many different things. It's so diluted. It's so, because we're not getting into what the real issues are, as long as there's that front, that wall that's being built to protect us. That is why, okay, we're all just mere mortals. And Mimi, that is 100% true. You're not stepping over somebody else's boundary. There's no way. And you're wise not to, right? Your spidey senses say, oh, leave this person alone. But through the process of level 3 and falling into that compassion, now heart's open, mind is open. Okay, now we're receiving downloads. Now we're conduits. Now there's a higher energy that's working through us. If you're standing in a situation like that and you aren't being triggered, you aren't being wounded, you aren't being offended, you're an open channel. So it's as easy and as difficult as that. But it is interesting because it has to be done the moment that it feels impossible. Somebody's standing across from you, yelling, spitting in your face, doing this, doing that, your knee-jerk reaction is probably what? Defend yourself, say, whoa, calm down, back up. What's this? Really, fight back, whatever that knee-jerk response is. That's the part you stop.
Oh, and a lot of that's so automatic.
Exactly.
Midst of it, you might catch yourself like, oh my God. Yeah. So we have to first, before that ever takes place, then you have to be level 3 is before that ever happens. You're at a place where you're like your Velcro, whatever they're doing isn't sticking to you. Because that Velcro isn't there to attach it, so you're not reacting to it.
Yeah. And it is a mirror, so always keep that in mind too. In the lower levels, we're projecting what we are, and the higher levels, we're extending. Okay. So, and this is done not through some miraculous thing of being in level 3. It's done by going through those layers and removing them, because that's the trigger. Is they're not really saying something to you now. They're saying something to the little kid in you that just got poked. And there's a memory from your childhood that went, ooh, because it is the retracing. We go backwards. But I mean, if there was something like last week that happened that's really bothering you, then yeah, absolutely. But there's always something deeper and farther back that we've detached from. Even as young children, we detached from it. It was too painful. We detached. When somebody knows our wounds, they tend to push that button a little bit more. Don't you think? And so why is that? Well, that's the bully. That's the bully that got their buttons pushed, and so it's that never ending incessant cycle that just it's back and forth, it's back and forth. So, you picture there's two little kids standing there having a conversation. One of them's with their pen doing this. Is this bothering you? Is it bothering you? I mean, they're trying to evoke a response. So now there was something from your childhood. Somebody dismissed you. Somebody overrode you. And as young little girls, I mean, this just happened constantly, especially as little girls. I mean, boys probably had it too. I remember quite a bit of that. Like there's an annoying ceiling fan in the room, right? When you focus on that annoying ceiling fan, it'll drive you insane. But and it's so hard when you try to take your focus off of that and like maybe listen to like soft music that's playing in the background or silence, it's very difficult to make that shift. You can do it. It takes a lot of conscious, deliberate effort, but that's that's a very good point to that is like, yeah, you're just moving your focus somewhere else. You're choosing different. You're making another choice in that moment versus allowing ourselves to just sit there and let it grate on our nerves. And you might take that for 10 minutes or 30 minutes. And then what happens? You blow up. You blow up. Remove yourself from the situation until it just becomes something that now doesn't elicit a response.
Right.
As long as it's eliciting a response, there's something in your past in level 1 that is being brought to the surface. What a gift. You get to process it. Thank you, universe, for showing me that I still have this small little thing to remove, and I'm going to do that so that it doesn't have to bother me anymore. The emotion that goes with the acceptance is forgiveness. When we accept what we experience is forgiveness. Now that's a very different, I mean, you can feel it. You can feel forgiveness versus feeling being detached, being done. And forgiveness is like one of the most beautiful energies to live in. We could just stay there and we would be such happy human beings if we were just constantly forgiving, everything and everyone. Really, that's such a state of happiness. It is acceptance, but remember, our definition is to allow all things. Start with self-forgiveness, forgiving yourself. And I think that's huge for a parent. Forgiving yourself for everything, but letting them go. And in this place, it feels questionable to your brain because it says, if I forgive and I let go, then I don't care. And that's the subconscious reconciliation that's happening with that detachment, that we're trying to reconcile all those different energies because we know something doesn't feel right. So if you're experiencing this, okay, depression, sadness, you can identify. You can go into it. You can spend 15 minutes, an hour there if you want, because it's conscious. This melancholy thing's a whole different thing because it is pathological and it will take you all the way back down to those lower levels. So if that current of depression is going on, get on top of it. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with you. You've done something wrong. We want to be approaching everything with curiosity and keeping in mind too, because we're becoming open channels. We want this. We're inviting this. So we want to clear away as much as we possibly can. And like last time when we talked about like seeing frequencies, it is not possible for me or anybody else to be in my stuff or maybe feeling that depression thing in the background, walk outside and see a frequency. There's no way. We don't go from A to Z that quickly. Our nervous system really couldn't handle it. And it's a lot of what I'm sharing with you in that we don't know. And if we're If our buttons are getting pushed and we're getting upset about something, and we think the person sitting across from us is just a whack job and we wish they would just go away, then that's the opportunity to be that conduit. And anytime we have those thoughts, then we're really missing it. We're really missing what's going on because of the pain that's happening there.